bison first came to America across a land bridge from Asia, which was once between Kamchatka and Alaska sometime during the Ice Age. The first bison weighed about 5,000 pounds and had horns that spanned 7 feet. Here is Pat Jameson to give us the details.
Bison got to America across the Bering Land Strait. Bison evolved in Asia, kind of went both ways, both to Europe and to North America. And so predecessors of the bison came across the Bering Land Strait into Alaska and down into the continental U.S.
The bison were symbols of power until the white settlers came.
For certain tribes of Native Americans, the bison were very important to them. Not only did it provide food, shelter, their living, their livelihood for the Plains Indians, but many of the Plains tribes, it became part of their ceremonies, their religious beliefs. So depending on the tribes you're talking about, the bison goes from being one of the most important things to their culture to being just something that's part of their lives. So you'd kind of have to look at the different tribes, but yes, for the Plains tribes that lived on the bison, it was very important to them spiritually as well as physically. With hunting bison, both for Native Americans and for the Europeans that came out west, depending on when and where they hunted, their techniques could be similar or vastly different. Of course, Native Americans didn't originally have guns, so they would be hunting actually on foot before horses were brought here with bows and arrows, and then they certainly adapted to horses and guns when they had the opportunity. The thing with Europeans is the fact there were so many of them out west that they kind of overwhelmed the numbers of bison. More and more people came out west with guns, very effective hunting means, and it's more of the population of the Europeans as opposed to the means that really reduced the bison.
Train companies let passengers shoot bison from the windows of trains. There were bison killing contests. In fact, one man killed 120 bison in 20 minutes, which set a world record. Buffalo Bill Cody killed more than 4,000 buffalo in just 2 years.
Buffalo Bill Cody was fairly famous because he killed a lot of bison. Unlike many of the people who killed bison at the turn of the century, he actually had a job to do and used all the bison he killed. He was hired by the railroads to feed the people building the railroads, and at that time one of the easiest game to get to out west was bison. So he would go out and kill quite a few bison every day, and they would be butchered and fed to the people working on the railroads. So even though he himself has killed many bison, he didn't waste bison as much as some other sportsmen, hunters and that sort that came out after. Bison did disappear from most of North America at the turn of the century. I would say that they were extensively throughout the country, and at the turn of the century they were almost nowhere left except for some isolated pockets like Yellowstone National Park.
As you can plainly see, relatively few bison are left in the Yellowstone area and up into Montana.
Hello, yes, it's me again, Billabong Joe. Yes, after that last incident on episode 17 with the saltwater crocodile, it looks like I was gone for good. But luckily, only 114 stitches. Yes. Well, now to business. On today's episode of Billabong Joe's Amazing and Deadly Creatures, we have the fire-breathing bison. Well, not fire-breathing? Oh, okay, move along. Yes, on today's episode we have the bison with mandibles of death and poison sting. No mandibles or poison sting? Oh well, let's just... Oh dear, the lawyers? Oh, in that case, well, I guess the deadly bison with no mandibles or any of that other silly stuff I said in the beginning. Okay, and here she is. Hello, and today on Billabong Joe's Ferocious Creatures, I'm chilling with Pat Jameson. Literally, but it's frosty up here. Is it always this cold?
Well, no, summertime can be very warm. We hit 95 degrees this summer. You just happen to come at our cold season.
Oh, okay. Well, today we're going to talk about the deadly bison. Now, I've heard these creatures are quite dangerous, but I was informed earlier this morning that they don't have fire-breathing tails. Well, yes, are they really that dangerous?
Well, actually, bison can be very dangerous just because they're very large animals. But the thing you got to remember is that they're not mean. They're not going to come after you just because. You have to do something to them that'll make them be angry. And just because they are so large. I mean, a bull bison can be 2,000 pounds. So maybe a good comparison is a car. A car isn't mean, but is it dangerous if you step in front of a running car? Yes. So you want to treat bison with great respect, but you don't have to fear them that they're going to come after you for no reason.
Ah, so no razor claws, poisonous paws, or other things?
No, just 2,000 pounds of weight and fur.
Ah, well, they sound pretty deadly to me. Now, I've heard that bison wallow. I've seen hippos and pigs wallow, but how do bison?
Well, for pretty much the same reason. They can wallow in mud to cool themselves off. They mostly do it in mud and dust to get rid of insects. They shed their winter fur in the spring. It's very itchy. And the males do it in July and August as a show of dominance. What's kind of funny about bison, if you see dogs roll or wallow, they'll go all the way over. But because bison have a hump, they have to do one side, get up, lay down, and do the other side.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so a little more about these bison. What are their feeding habits? Are they voracious cannibals or deadly carnivores?
Actually, there are herbivores. They will they eat grass and other vegetation. They have very large flat teeth, don't have any of the sharp canines the carnivores have. If they eat any meat or anything like that, it's probably inadvertently, as in a grasshopper is on the piece of grass they happen to be eating.
Oh, So, what part of the month is the mating season, would you say? And which kind of changes in their habits do they have? Are they extra aggressive? Do they attack people who are in the territory?
Well, that is the time of year when the males do get very dangerous. It is July and August around here. If you happen to be around, you might see some activity of headbutting, the wallowing that we talked about earlier. And the thing that happens is they're very concentrated on dealing with other males and competing for the females. So they tend to have a very one-track mind. So that's one of the things where if you're in their way, they want to get you out of their way because they're dealing with the other males or the females. So they can be very dangerous then because they are just busy with other things. So you don't want to get in their way during that time of year.
Well, so do bison interact with other animals, like trample them to death, for instance?
Well, no. The thing about wild animals is they don't have a lot of energy to waste doing things that aren't important to them. So unless, let's say, a rattlesnake was trying to bite a bison for whatever reason, it might try to step on it. But since they don't eat other animals, there's no reason for them to go and kill another animal. They can kill each other. During the mating season, the males get very aggressive to each other, and we do have deaths. 2 or 3 bison a year can die during the mating season because they are fighting for something that is important for them. But the rest of the year, they don't fight and kill each other because there's nothing important to them the rest of the year.
Now, is there anything else you have to say about bison in particular?
Well, they are a very important animal. They are part of our history with the Native Americans and pioneers. So it's something that people, if they have a chance, should come and see. Besides being magnificent creatures in their own, they do give us a flavor of the Old West, a time that is gone and we'll probably never get back to, but at least you can experience it by seeing some of the bison.
Okay. Well, thank you for being on Billabong Joe's Deadly and Amazing Creatures.
Well, good old Billabong had to rush off to his next adventure, but I'll just remind you to come here for Billabong Joe episode 19 with the amazing, deadly, killer chickadees. Come along!
The connection between Native Americans and bison was, and still is, very strong. Symbols of strength and power, bison's ties with the Native Americans run very deep and are not broken, even today. Bison's uses for the Native Americans were very plentiful. Just about every body part was used, from the horns to the bladder. Native Americans used bison for many things, including medicine, food, drink, clothes, and endless other items. In order to get all these things from the bison, Native American hunters would have to go and track down and kill the buffalo. There were quite a few hunting techniques for killing bison, one of which was the buffalo jumps.
They used many different ways, especially when Europeans came over, it changed their hunting ways. Both guns and horses were brought over by Europeans. Before that, they had to hunt the bison on foot. So they used different things by trying to hide behind rocks, pushing them, chasing them over cliffs, and of course using bows and arrows and spear. Once horses got here, Native Americans certainly took advantage of that, started using horses, and then of course used guns when they were able to get those.
Was there any part of the buffalo that wasn't used?
Well, I imagine that depending on the time of the year, that different parts were not needed. Hides were probably needed mostly when they were in the winter coat because they were nice and thick. So maybe in the summer, if they killed a bison, they might not use the hide. But I really don't know. There's so many different parts of a buffalo, but they certainly used many parts for their needs.
Many Native American tribes, such as the Plains Indians, considered bison sacred. It was known as a symbol of strength and bravery among Native Americans.
Bison were very important to the Plains tribe because it was their base of living. It was their food, their shelter, as you asked earlier about using all the parts. It's what they based their life society on. So the more they depended on bison, the more important it was to them. So different tribes, the bison were like the most important thing out there. Much of their religious and spiritual contexts were related to the bison. Many of their legends about spiritual beings came around the bison.
A lot of tribes depended on the bison for survival and moved with them as the buffalo migrated. Some of the reasons bison migrated was better grazing land, water, and shelter during the winter. Since the buffalo represented strength, determination, and bravery, Indian warriors wore buffalo skins and fought with buffalo clubs and other weapons which were made from bison bones to show their strength and aggression in battle. The Native American connection with the bison thrives still today, and we hope that bison populations continue to rise, allowing that connection to continue.
you know what? That's a neat twist to the fact that most people are pretty familiar with the red-tailed hawk. They see them flying. How is this bird different? I'd love to know, have Kate tell us how that one feeds different. Because we know the rough-legged one, low grasslands, and does this swooping thing. I say we should move the camera out once Harry thinks he's got enough red-tailed hawk footage. I wish there was a way to turn that bird to just show his back.
Or maybe we can just sort of get close to it and then it will fly somewhere.
I just don't know where it'll go, because if you move toward him, he has really nowhere to go. See, I don't know if that's...
Oh my god, it's tilted. Oh, it's tilted. I don't want it tilted.
Okay, bring up your... Use that backside of the tripod brought up so it flattened down.
I need to,
Here, can you extend that backside down?
no, as far as it'll go.
Maybe we should lower these.
Okay, as far as good.
Oh, man!
Where does it go?
Go here.
Oh, I still got it. We're still good. It's just not zooming very good.
You guys, you may want to come over here. You might want to set up right where Chris is. I don't know.
Maybe we should just get a couple, hold the camera a little bit.
No.
Just try that.
It's okay with me.
It's fuzzy. It won't zoom.
Don't panic. I'm with Chris here. You might want to hand hold it and go right up to the cage.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, look where you are. Get on that right now. You're not rolling yet. Are you rolling, Harry?
Mm-hmm.
Here, can I try a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
See, wait, because you'll talk about wings, those legs, those talons. Do some zoom.
Take it.
Oh gosh, look at this. Do you think it's shaky? We could mount it on that tripod, just bring it closer.
So beautiful, just sitting there.
Isn't it just majestic? Look at those breast feathers. I found this here, so I'm gonna hang it.
Trying to get some sounds. Doo-doo, doo-doo. Hawk. Ah.
Can you hear that sound?
God.
And here you could be talking about the enclosure filming. You can talk about when it's moving about the enclosure that has room to move.
In this cage, it has plenty of room with these claws since it's winged and not function right since it has a broken shoulder. As you can see at the claws, it's just clawing or fixing something. Probably trying to pop a knuckle. As you look at its chest, all those beautiful white colors and tan, look at its tail, just kind of. And if you look at its leg, you can tell why it gets its name, rough-legged, because look at the hairs on its leg. It's all brown and tan, but very beautiful bird. At its head, because it has kind of like stripes at the top of its head. I guess it perfums up, just like every other bird. Let's walk. Hawk, please. No, I think we got good. Yeah.
Probably another whole minute, and then we're going to just get ambient sound for a minute, and I think we're done. Right on. You guys are so good. Dang.
What time is it?
20 minutes.
Here, can you move the tripod? Yeah. And you guys are going to try and just get a shot of the enclosure.
even, you know what would be good? Go south with a pan. Put it on the tripod and actually pan to look at this air and open space and all that.
Put it on a tripod, dude. Chris, come on. Chris. Did you see in the birds? Didn't want that. Alright. Get a few more photos of the bird and we're good. Oh, it's a beautiful bird.
Here, can I try something?
Yeah. Can you hold this down so I can get a little bit higher?
What do you mean?
Okay, that's good. Cool.
Okay, here, I'm gonna try something.
Okay. I'll get the case.
Here, watch out, because I'm gonna pan the whole place around, saying how it has a lot of. Here, watch out. And at this wild of the Rockies, this place is it's all about birds. As you can see, there's different cages, and we have seen some birds just up on the mountain. This is a very good place for any injured birds.
We've got the rough-legged out in this.
Hey guys. Now we're gonna do like a minute of just sounds.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah. So tripod.
Sound stuff. Oh, what about this? Need that?
Yeah, it's sort of nice to hear everything.
Get it?
Alright, I'll get the
I got this, and it was kind of moving. I was moving a little bit, so when I was really zoomed in, the wire kind of blurred in a little bit. So